I heard that the Chieftains are a bit like famous sportsmen or champions. When you are needed as musicians, you are able to leave your jobs and go.
Well, lucky the past year we've been sort of trying to organise time off our regular jobs, and the Department of Foreign Affairs, the cultural section of the Department of Foreign Affairs, have been very helpful in this respect, and they have arranged with and written to our to some of our bosses to release us without pay, of course, for the tours.
So you are not professionals?
Well, that's a big word, you know. I mean, we're semi-professional anyway, as the Chieftains.
Any idea of quitting all your jobs?
We seem to come across this every 2 or 3 months. We talk about it, and on account of the type of offers that are being made to us by with tours and the invitations to so many countries, and also there's great interest in the group from the point of view of possibly becoming a state folk orchestra. And properly we should be in fact subsidised. We do have a light orchestra, we do have a symphony orchestra, but we haven't got a folk orchestra, and we should in fact be sort of subsidised by the state as a folk orchestra with freedom to move and to play and to rehearse when we like,
Well, most of your instruments are very strange, almost exotic to a Finnish eye. Are they all pure Irish?
That's one thing we our lineup, we're strictly acoustic. We don't have any amplification, electrical amplification or anything like that, and we prefer to play without amplification if possible. The instruments, as you see, are all very, very traditional. This machine here, which I sometimes refer to as an octopus, so many things, is the Irish pipes, the Irish Uilleann pipes, and Uilleann being the Gaelic or Irish for elbow. I don't have to blow, no wind anyway, so I puff with the bellows. And saccabilly, is that what you call it here? Saccabilly. And you just, and out comes the wind. This is the chanter. It has 2 octaves and can be fully chromatic if necessary. These are the drones, which, and sometimes these regulators go ba 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 ba. So that's the Irish Uilleann pipes.
And what is that?
They call this the tin whistle, and I'd say that this is the forerunner of the pipes. It was developed from the original reeded instrument, the pipe, which would be, I suppose, traditional in most countries of the world, but used very, very much in Ireland. Many great pipers carried these around for the main purpose of transmitting music from one player to another, from one man to another. And I reckon it's one of the greatest little instruments ever made. And it is it's used in many countries, but it seems to be very well designed to produce traditional Irish music. And although I think I should be playing the pipes, I studied the music, or rather the music was handed down to me from my grandfather, who was a piper. And by all that's right and proper, I should in fact be playing the pipes, but this is a much handier...
You do play a little bit?
Well, a little bit, yeah, but not very much.
Well, that thing, is it simply a drum or does it have any special name?
Well, it's not only simply a drum, but it's a simple drum. It's a tambourine, and it's made with goat skin. I think you call it a puckanabura, something like that. And they're homemade. You just stretch the skin across the timber round, and it gives you the sound. And it's struck with a stick which has knobs on it, and that's about 25 centimeters. And all the action is in the wrist. Just that's it.
How about the harp?
Well,
how old is it?
The harp is one of the oldest instruments in the world, thousands of years old. It started off as a bow and arrow where you did this, you shot something at somebody, and then you added a string and you added a string, and they found it produced notes. So what you've got is a diatonic scale.
Sounds nice.
order to be able to play in different keys, we have introduced a series of semitone systems, like this. If I strike the F, I press the blade here. I don't know if you could see it, and I can sharpen it. And we have this on every note, and otherwise it very much resembles your own instrument, the cantilly, except in the fact that it's straight up instead of horizontal. It's more or less the same instrument. And this particular kind of Irish harp was introduced in the late 1700s to try and revive the old instrument, which was all strung with metal. But it proved very difficult to tune and very difficult to play, so the instrument disappeared. And there are some attempts today to revive it, and this group has at times revived the old instrument, but for the purposes of travelling, where conditions vary very much, we use the later instrument rather than the earlier instrument.
How old are the oldest and the youngest pieces in your program?
Pieces of music? Oh, gosh. Let me think of the program. I'm sure a lot of them are going back to Brian Boru, just 10, 14. Probably 16th century, some of the oldest pieces. And then the harp music by Carlin, he was 17th, 18th century harp player.
Yeah. Now, what does folk music mean to Irish?
Folk music to the Irish people, as you know, we've had a lot of friends that took over for a couple of 100 years, and it meant that we had to sort of poverty was very, very great at that time, and this is going back a couple of 100 years, and the folk music developed tremendous strength altogether. It was the only thing they really had was the dancing, the meeting together in houses, and they played music, and it became very, very strong. The reels, jigs, hornpipes, and to me, I think we've got one of the greatest traditional music in the world.